Think about the last time you saw Iran in the headlines. It's usually a montage of chaos, missiles lighting up the night sky, nuclear warnings, or threats to choke off a shipping lane you've barely heard of. It's easy to look at that and assume you're watching a rogue state acting on pure irrational impulse. But that picture is wrong. For over 40 years, Tehran hasn't been acting out of madness. They've been running one of the most calculated strategic playbooks in modern history. Once you see the whole board, every single move they've made starts to make perfect sense. Everything we see today flows from 1979. When Ayatollah Khomeini took power, he didn't just swap out a government, he hardwired 3 permanent goals into the country's DNA: push the United States out of the Middle East, dismantle the Israeli state, and establish a Palestinian ally. The problem was that Iran couldn't match the US or Israel in a fair fight. They were broke and outgunned. So they decided to change the rules of the game. They built their survival on 2 ideas. The first is forward defense, the belief that if you're going to fight a war, you do it on someone else's property so your own streets stay quiet. The second is the Mosaic Doctrine. Think of a mosaic where each tiny tile seems insignificant on its own, but together they create a massive image. Iran didn't build one giant army. They cultivated a decentralized network of allies across the region. Analysts call this the Ring of Fire. Iran spent billions of dollars every year to place pressure points all around their primary adversary, Israel. To the north, you had Hezbollah in Lebanon. To the southwest, Hamas in Gaza. To the east, militias in Iraq. And to the south, the Houthis in Yemen. This was strategically elegant because it created a shield. Every time a proxy acted, the retaliation hit the proxy, not Tehran. For 40 years, Iran absorbed almost none of the cost while reaping all the rewards. Underneath all of this sat the nuclear program. It was never just a side project, it was the insurance policy. By 2025, they had pushed enrichment to 60%, leaving them just days away from weapons-grade material. They didn't necessarily need the bomb. They needed the strategic ambiguity of the bomb. The threat of having it gave them the leverage to keep the world at bay. They even held a knife to the throat of the global economy through the Strait of Hormuz, a tiny gap where 20% of the world's oil passes every day. Iran knew they didn't have to win a conventional war to make the world bleed. But then, the board started to clear. Starting in late 2023, that 40-year playbook hit a wall of reality. Israel's campaigns decimated Hamas and pushed Hezbollah back from the border. Then came the total collapse of the Assad regime in Syria in late 2024, which severed the land bridge Iran used to supply its allies. Suddenly, the shadow war wasn't a shadow anymore. In 2024 and 2025, the conflict arrived directly on Iranian soil. Strikes from the US and Israel hit missile factories and nuclear sites like Fordo and Natanz, degrading the very assets Iran spent decades protecting. Now, as we move through 2026, the Ring of Fire is broken and the mosaic is scattered. There is a brutal irony here. The very strategy designed to keep war away from Iran ended up being the thing that brought the war home. Tehran is now facing an existential dilemma. Their proxies are fragmented, their nuclear program is wounded, and their forward defense has failed. This isn't a story about a country being crazy. It's a story about a master chess player who just watched his most important pieces get swept off the board. What happens next, whether they try to rebuild, negotiate, or go for a final escalation, will shape the future of global energy and power for the next generation. We are watching a final chapter unfold in real time. Before we go further, I have to say a quick thank you. As many of you know, this channel was demonetized, and it's only because of your direct support and donations that I can keep doing this kind of independent analysis. I've started a fresh channel to make sure these stories keep being told, so if this video meant something to you, please subscribe at the link in the description. Let's keep watching the board together.